Good evening, Brett. Officials here are telling us the pre-planned program is being retooled. Things are being cut out of the show, and it's going to start earlier because they are trying to avoid having the headliner pushed past prime time again. Now that the torch has been passed and Biden is out, Democrats are comparing Harris 2024 to Obama 2008.
As an Obama alum, you know, we don't say this easily because I don't want to get thrown out, but it's beginning to feel like it.
Tonight, Chicago's own former President Barack Obama will lay out the task in front of Democrats over the next 11 weeks and bring into focus the values at stake in this election and at the heart of our politics.
He sat in that chair. There are very few people in America that understand what it takes to actually do the job of being president of the United States.
Joe Biden!
Some former Obama staffers are expressing concern that DNC officials pushed last night's keynote, President Biden, past primetime.
People are not speaking over the applause. They're speaking at under 100 words per minute.
Policy proposals are still not expected to figure prominently into anybody's remarks.
Democrats always win when we run on hope and joy. You got Team Hope and Joy right now.
Republicans claim that won't work.
This whole joy thing, this whole vibes thing, all that is to cover up for the fact that their policies are a disaster for the American people.
Democratic Party elders say it's not a given, but it can work.
The energy is there, but like all other energies, it's got to be harnessed. The atomic bomb wasn't worth much until the energy was harnessed.
And down here on the convention floor, delegates are starting to take their seats in sections state by state to officially hand over delegates that once belonged to Joe Biden to Kamala Harris in a roll call that will begin ahead of tonight's official program.
Yo, what's up, people? We are live from inside of the Benny Bunker, deep in the heart of downtown Chicago, in Trump Tower, from the beacon sounding of freedom in the center of the city, a stake in the heart of communist Kamala's Chicago. Ladies and gentlemen, as of moments ago, the DNC convention has handed over every single delegate to Commie Kamala without Joe Biden's approval and kicking Joe Biden out, sending him packing, and humiliating him by pushing him to a speech that went way past midnight last night. In the final humiliation, Barack Obama, the man who has orchestrated the open and complete disgrace of Joe Biden throughout his entire career, including but not limited to Hillary Clinton taking his role in 2016 when he wanted to run, then insulting Joe behind his back, then shivving Joe Biden on his way out of the door this time around. As everybody says, this was all orchestrated by Barack Obama and Nancy Pelosi. Barack Obama gets to do his victory dance tonight on stage. And ooh, baby, it is an absolutely brutal scene inside of the DNC right now. Kamala Harris, on the other hand, is trying to troll Republicans by doing an event where Republicans had their RNC convention just a month ago. Meanwhile, RFK Jr. deciding to potentially drop out of the race and fork over his over 5% of the electorate to Donald Trump. a massive W for Trump today. We have all of the news, and joining us live, the great Jack Poso.
What's going on, Benny?
The studio.
How are you?
What's up, homie?
We didn't get to do this at the RNC, man.
King. It's Kings. Jack is has been on the ground covering. You don't have your burqa on.
Katia.
You don't have your burqa.
No burqas today. You know, that's okay, because when Muslim men see my form, they become so just overcome with emotion. That's why I have to put the burqa on when I'm around them.
The Muslim men are attracted to you.
It's true. It's a thing.
Okay. Okay. All right. So Jack is going to be anchoring with us today, and we may even go live to a flag burning right now. That's going on, breaking news.
A former flag burning. It's so the Israeli consulate, just only a few blocks away from where we are right now, was just essentially under attack by forces of Antifa, the pro-Palestinian protesters, just and a total assortment of far leftist, abortion demons, you name it, that were all up in the street. Now, this was a pretty well-known thing, so the police were out in full force. So the consulate was not stormed, it wasn't breached in any way, even though they said they were going to do this originally. Revolutionary communists also there in the street. But Ben Bergquam of Real America's Voice was out there, and when they started burning a flag, they actually started burning an American flag, Ben Bergquam took it upon himself to enter the fray and attempt to save this flag. Now, it looks like they were able to torch it, but he confronted them and he stood up for the flag. And I think we all owe him a lot of respect for what he did. So we're going to try to get Ben on. He and I, obviously colleagues at Real America. And so we're in contact, and we'll see if we can get the comm situation figured out, or even maybe get him here, because I'm told that police came in not too long after that and just started breaking up the entire thing. But keep in mind, these groups are still out there. This thing has gone violent. Yesterday, it started off peaceful. Then they breached the perimeter. The perimeter was added to later today at the DNC. Now we're seeing the violence where at the Israeli consulate. Day 3 comes next. And so the streets are getting hotter as this thing goes on.
So joyful. These people, they're joyous. Look at this. Look at what's going on here. This is joy.
It's the joy.
This is like joy that springs eternal. It's so special. It's beautiful. Right now, we have a Bernie Sanders speaking on the stage at the DNC. Why don't we go ahead and cut over to the beginning of Bernie's speech? I want to see the beginning of Bernie's speech. Bernie Sanders just took the stage. Let's go ahead live to the DNC. Why not? You know, Bernie Sanders was doing a podcast. I think it was Theo Vaughn earlier in the week, and he said the Democrat Party rigged it against me, and rigged it against the entire infrastructure that I built, and took it away from me. And so I don't know, like, is Bernie down? Like, he's a dirty old communist, right? So let's have a listen in and see if he's down with the coup. Bernie, for the third time, being there's masks in 2024.
Fellow Americans, it is an honor. It is an honor to be with you tonight, because we're laying the groundwork for Kamala Harris to become our next president. And let me tell you why that is so important.
Oh, he's going to simp for the machine.
I want you all to remember where we were 3.5 years ago. We were in the midst of the worst public health crisis in 100 years, and the worst economic downturn since the Great Depression. 3,000 Americans were dying every day, and our hospitals were overwhelmed with COVID patients.
So this is the direction he's going to go.
All across the country, businesses were shutting down. Unemployment was soaring. Workers were losing get their health insurance. Schools were closing. State and city budgets were running out of money. People were being evicted from their homes. Children in America were going hungry.
This is joyous. This is what joy looks like.
That was the reality the Biden-Harris administration faced as they entered the Oval Office. A nation suffering, a nation frightened, and people looking to their government for support. And within 2 months of taking office, our government did respond.
Okay, enough. Okay, got it. I was like wondering maybe if Bernie was gonna go
Another mansion for Bernie.
Yeah, that's
another
right.
mansion.
Another private island.
Every time he comes, this is the thing: is he goes, "Oh, they took it away from me. They took it away. They took it away," and then he just goes to another one of his mansions because that's what they do. He's total controlled opposition. He has been for a long time. By the way, if you talk to any of like the DSA people, they all say this about Bernie. They know that he's the guy to sort of step up and take that populist left energy and say, I'm here, we're against the millionaires and billionaires, and we're going, yeah, this is great. And then, oh, they got me again. What can you do? I guess we got to endorse them.
It's like a Looney Tunes character.
It really is. And then he goes,
the Washington Generals,
what's
right?
this? Another mansion. Yeah. How did that happen? Where did that come from? It's just amazing. It's like this grift that just keeps on grifting, and that's Bernie Sanders. Remember, no refunds, folks. But so they wanted that. They kind of planned to do this, I think, with AOC again. And you could tell, especially with her speech last night, that she's got designs for higher office. She's thinking, oh yeah, Gillibrand, and maybe I'll get that nice Senate seat in New York. And it's like, yeah, maybe they'll give you a Senate seat, but guess what? You're never going anywhere else. You are just a puppet to these people. You will be used the same way Bernie is because they know that he's getting a little long in the tooth up there. And then she'll get her, I don't know, maybe for her it'll be cabanas instead of mansions. I'm not sure.
So maybe it'd be coconuts. Maybe it'll be.
He'll get the coconuts. She'll
coconut
be
trees.
Now, do you want to be in the tree or do you want to be out of the tree? Because I can't quite figure out the metaphor.
So I think the metaphor is you fell out of a coconut tree, you hit your head, and you're stupid.
Okay, so you want to be in the tree.
So did you fall out of the coconut tree? So you want to be in the coconut tree.
In the tree is good.
Inside the coconut tree.
I want to be in the tree.
You want to be up in the coconut tree.
I want to
with
be in
the
a coconut tree. Yes,
I'm
going
to
to
fall
shimmy
out,
up it like a native boy.
You hurt your head, and you're going to sound like AOC did yesterday. We got
She
to get
sounded like she fell off the coconut
Boys,
tree.
you got that clip? Okay, let's play AOC yesterday. Maybe you could discern this for us. We asked Byron Donalds this morning, do you hang with AOC a lot? Like maybe you could speak AOC. What is AOC saying here? Can you translate? Jack, Byron couldn't. Let's try for Poso.
And I, for one, am tired of hearing about how a two-bit union buster thinks of himself as more of a patriot than the woman who fights every single day to lift working people out from under the boots of greed, trampling on our way of life.
Trembling under the boots of our way of life.
The boots of greed? Did you? It sounded like she was saying the boots of greed.
Yes, the boots of greed.
Trembling over our way of life. So trampling, but she was what she probably meant. And then she definitely said trembling over our way of life.
Can you just load that as play-beside, please? I want to see that as a play-beside, and I want to you can see the body language. This is what's so important about the body language. You can see that she's trying to hit her moment, but she can't leave the teleprompter. So she's trying to do the motions, but her eyes are locked on the teleprompter.
You know what this makes? Whatever happened to that guy? Look, you're a YouTube connoisseur. Do you remember the bad lip reading guy?
Yeah, of course.
Where is that? This is like perfect for him.
This is exactly what Byron
that guy
Donalds
was
said.
made for.
This is exactly what Byron Donalds said with the Pelosi.
Yeah,
clip.
you need that guy back. She's to just be like, trampling over our tiger meat and whatever. Like, just he comes up with this like insane. There was the last good one I saw from him was Matt Gaetz.
Look at how desperate she is to find the prompter. She's so desperate to find the prompter, and she F's up the line. She gets the line wrong, right? So that's the problem with the delivery.
Trembling over.
Joe Biden did this. Joe Biden built up everybody last night and then goes, Donald Trump wants to ban women with electricity. I'm like, oh, you were so close, Joe. You were so close.
These electric women, they've been taking the places of our real women.
He said, Donald Trump wants to ban women's electricity.
All Amish, but just for women.
Yeah.
Well, that's okay. Wow, incredibly based. Incredibly based. Yeah. That's not bad. So no Instagram, no TikTok. I'm on board.
So let's talk about traitors, Jack. Let's grab that clip. Let's grab that clip. Stephanie Grisham clips. Those are trending. We already got those. Okay.
Oh,
fantastic. Good old
boy.
AOX. Good old AOX AI. So we got Stephanie Grisham. She's this like we had been warned. Okay. So Jack and I had been warned by people who know Stephanie Grisham. This is Melania's old. What's the best way to say this? Like just a staffer, for Melania. But because of transitions at the White House, Stephanie Grisham got to be press secretary, I think, during a transitional period. She actually got to hold that title, and she spoke at the DNC. First off, like looking rough, like time has not been generous or kind to Stephanie Grisham, but also the decay in your soul, like turning on your friends. Stephanie Grisham's one of those people who was excited, like sprinted to the January 6th committee. And then she started posting. She did a speech tonight where she gave Melania's text messages over to the DNC to play on screen. It is a breathtaking thing to see. It is the most despicable human behavior you can ever see. Like loyalty is disagree with people all you want. Like backstabbing them and being disloyal and then sharing all their text messages to what? To get get on MSNBC? It is the most despicable behavior. Animals don't behave like this.
That's a very classical sense of morality, by the way, because
laws of the jungle.
Even in Dante's Inferno, the lowest circle of hell in Dante's Inferno is someone who betrays their friends.
Here it is, Jack. I want to get your response to it. This just happened a few moments ago. Here we go. Number one, here we go. Let's go right here. Look me in the eye. Guys, look at this. If you ever see me do the show like this, here's something that you must know. I am going to tell you the truth. And then I start sharing Jack's text messages with you without Jack's permission and betraying him as a friend. You should unsubscribe. I've gone insane. Call a doctor, okay? Call the next of kin and my power of attorney. You can always see it in the eyes. The eyes are the window of the soul. And she's in Dante's Inferno, is she not?
She is. Scott Adams has a line, he calls it liar face. He talks about this all the time on his show, and he calls it liar face. And he said they all make that face. He pointed out that you could see it all last night. So I haven't seen him yet for the thing, but he was just going through again and again and again. And you could see when that Warnock had a huge one last night where he just makes this huge after saying something. And Warnock's speech was terrible and way too long. But Grisham, I mean, you look at her up there and you're like, are we supposed to be inspired? Like, what is the purpose of having this out? So at the RNC, I remember, and you and I were both there, I remember them having these incredible stories from regular American people who got up and spoke. And I think a lot of people, like we had Vivek on, and I said, Vivek, you had my favorite speech last night. And then I thought about it for a second. I said, actually, you had my favorite political speech. But my favorite moments were when regular people were coming up, talking about the things that they've been challenged with, the things that they've overcome. And so those stories of inspiration, of course, are meant to then go and inspire the faithful to go out and wage these last, 8 weeks or so of the campaign. And that's really so these conventions no longer serve the nominating function. It's sort of this vestigial part. And even the Democrats kind of just knocked that out virtually in this case. Anyway, not that they had an actual primary to begin with. But so what's the purpose of the convention then? Well, the purpose of the convention in the modern era is is supposed to be just this. It's your spirit fest. It is your big rah-rah fest before the homecoming game. You're about to go into battle, so you have to rally the troops. So you're supposed to be rallying the troops and inspiring them to go into political battle. Who is inspired by Stephanie Grisham? Who is inspired by this person who, as you rightly say, has come out and betrayed the trust that was given to her, that has betrayed the direct guidance which was given to her? Someone who, by the way, last time I understand, she was not fired. She wasn't kicked out of the White House or something like that. Never given anything other than, I don't know, a job, a position, title, raised up so high that they were even willing to let her be press secretary. And this is the way she repays them. And then the Democrats, the fact that they would even be willing to sit down and break bread with someone who's committed such just a horrific act of betrayal shows how completely without honor they are, completely without morality. And they think they're so low and so simple-minded. They think, we got you because we got one of yours to come on our side. And you listen to what she says, it's just anger, it's just bitterness, it's hatred, it's deceit, it's all of the worst things that... When the Bible teaches us about sin, and this is something that I've had to come to with along, just getting older, and I'm looking at 40 these days, and you realize that the things that the Bible prescribes as sin are actually bad for you. You know what I mean? Like the things that they say, it's not just rules. They say, don't break the rules. When you're younger, you think, I don't want to break those rules. But then as you get older, you realize, no, these things actually are terrible. My life will not be successful. I will not be living a good life. I won't be healthy. I won't be happy. My soul will be dirty and disgusting if I turn out this way. And then you can see it on their faces when you actually go down that path of dishonor and evil and are completely controlled by vice. You're just completely controlled by demons, and you're ultimately controlled by demons. And that's what you're seeing up on that stage. It doesn't inspire anyone unless you want to walk directly into the inferno yourself.
You want to see what the inferno looks like? The demons on the face? Check this out. This is Trump's, this is Mary Trump. This is what she looked like before Trump derangement syndrome, and this is what she looks like after. Do the before, please. This is before, this is after. I mean, that looks like demonic possession to me.
Yeah, it's the physical
rotting
corruption.
It's like
which shows the soul corruption.
Yes.
Which shows the internal corruption.
Yes.
That's why we use the word corrupt. You have been corrupted. It is a very moral word. It's speaking about morals. But again, we're talking about the corruption of the physicality as well. And it's something, they used to show this in like movies, but since they've totally gotten away from all that stuff. This is why, by the way, they spend so much time telling us, don't judge a book by their cover, et cetera, blah, blah, blah. No, just look at them. Just look at them, right? Go into the protests and look at these people. And yeah, of course, right? Treat everyone as individuals. Sure, I got it. But at the same time, when you see something that looks like this, when you see someone who approaches you in that manner, you understand, like, I'm not giving you a couple of dollars. I'm not going to hang out on the same side of the street as you. I'm walking to the other side. Something is wrong with you. And God gave me the instincts. God gave me the understanding to see the danger, to be in tune with that, and to say, all right, I need to raise my defenses now because we got a problem.
You talk about the moral clarity of the Democrat Party. Like, what does it say about their unmoored morals in this party that they can bring on somebody who praised Trump in her last time? This is the archived Stephanie Grisham, 45, praises Trump, takes the paycheck.
Yep.
Takes the paycheck and then becomes the rat. And there's terms for that in the mafia. There's Italian terms for this.
I mean, you can't ever trust the rat, right?
Yeah.
You just can't deal with the rat. And so, like, I'm Polish, right? But I grew up in Philly, and I grew up around a lot of Italians in the Philly area. And so you get a little bit, there's nothing lower than a rat. There's nothing lower. There's nothing worse, because a rat will always be a rat. And once you become a rat, there's no coming back from that. That's between you and God at that point.
That's right.
But with anybody else, like, I'm not saying there's not forgiveness and atonement. That's a long journey, by the way. It's always available. And that's why it's divine to forgive, and the gift of reconciliation and atonement and all of these things, because only God could do that. Because humans, no, we see a rat, we know how to deal with a rat, and a rat gets dealt with a certain way.
Have you noticed that there is sort of this propensity for people with low moral character to take the carrot that's offered to them and betray Trump, and they use that quite regularly, and people spin off and take the book deal, the house on the beach,
the hutch,
the
hutch,
just like
the hutch with
getting
a book deal.
getting booked on MSNBC. I mean, for some of these people, the price is so low. The price of
they're
their
so
honor
cheap
and
dates.
dignity is so low.
They're so cheap dates, and of course they're applied with these ideas of you're doing it for your country, you're doing it for the right thing. You know, I think someone once said that you can have a reputation or you can have integrity, but you can't have both. And what does that mean, at least in today's society? And what does that mean? That means if you go in for those trappings of, oh, I'm a good little boy and I want the pat on the head and I want to be liked by high society and I want the corporate deals and all of these things out there, then guess what? The only price, this tiny little cost, is your soul. That if you just give your soul away, it's the Faustian bargain. It all goes back to Faust. This idea that I can get short-term gain, perhaps immense short-term gain, but for very, very damnable eternal consequences.
Like saying that Donald Trump grabbed the steering wheel of the Secret Service vehicle
I mean,
and
just
tried to turn it.
ridiculous.
What's her name?
The Hutch. I call her the Hutch. Cassidy Hutchinson. We call her the Hutch.
Right. It's the exact same story.
No, it's
she was
like
working at the
what
White
did she
House.
get? She got a book deal.
You're getting a paycheck, right? It's like it's so dishonorable. It's so disloyal. You're getting paid, right? And for that, you are taking that money and rendering the service, and then you're making up a story that President Trump behaved like, what would it be? Like a Fantastic Four? What superhero?
He somehow turned into like
superhero would be
Wolverine
required.
from the X-Men and just had this
the thing, or
the
Hulk.
incredible power to he turned into the Hulk, Bruce
Hulk,
Banner.
that's
You
right.
wouldn't
You
like
have to
me when I'm
punch
angry.
through the bulletproof glass.
Punches through the glass.
Fight off multiple agents.
Yep.
Right. Take
drives
their
up the steps of the Capitol,
That's
and he's the one who crashes the doors, and that's how they got in.
Right. And he was wearing the bison horns at the time.
Yeah, wearing the horns.
Actually, he took them from Jacob Chansley
he actually
on the way
took them
up.
from him,
That's right.
and then of course CNN will never show you that part of it.
That's right.
And you're
smoking a peace
listening.
pipe.
And they finally brought
Rips a peace pipe.
Dan Honorado, the head of the White House Secret Service detail, to come in, who was supposed to be, and she claimed that Honorado would corroborate all of her stuff. And his testimony was like, I have no recollection of any of those things or those conversations.
It's so unbelievable. It's so completely disgraceful. And we've seen a lot of that, actually. We've seen a lot of that at the convention. And, I don't know. We've seen Kamala Harris last night. She took the stage in a very creepy way. We have a conspiracy theory that's been rolling around the studio that Kamala Harris doesn't want to be seen for some reason with Barack Obama. Barack Obama and Kamala Harris haven't been seen together in the same room for a long time. They did that strange fake phone call together to announce Barack Obama going in with Kamala Harris. But Kamala's gone. Kamala's gone. And so we're going to explore that a little bit more. There is.
I like this theory. It's a good theory.
There is, however, a pretty unbelievable thing that's happening here. Kamala probably got out of town because it is getting quite dangerous in Chicago, depending on where you are. We saw the orc-like Libs storm Helm's Deep yesterday and rip down the wall. Should have had Donald Trump build it. But now they are going after the Israeli consulate here in Chicago. There are consulates that sort of act as embassies for nations all over the country, especially in large cities. And so people who are dual citizens or members of that nation, this is commonplace. There's an Israeli one. Any large G7 country or any country that has a big population that travels the world, they often have consulates. There's an Israeli one here, and there's a huge protest at it tonight by the Hamas holes. Joining us live from that consulate is Ben Bergquam, who nearly got into a fist fight, put up fisticuffs to save a burning American flag. Ben, what's up, man? How you doing?
What's up, Benny? Doing well, brother. Good to be with you, man. It's been a while.
Hey,
yeah,
here with Jack in the studio. Jack was just showing me the video Let's get that video loaded if we don't have it of Ben fighting Antifa for burning a
Ben, I thought you were going to go into it, man. I thought you threw up your dukes there for a second.
I was close, man. Look, I sat there and I watched them. It's actually right here. I'm going to walk you over and just show you where they burned it. So they burned, when they had this flag that was half Israeli or half Israeli flag, half U.S. flag. It's not an official flag. I don't like them burning this stuff, but I was okay with that. But I was watching that, I was filming that, and then I saw an American flag. They threw that down on the flames, and there's something inside me, man. I think about the sacrifice that so many of others have come before, and I don't know, it just snapped in me. I'm like, I just can't watch that happen. So I tried, but I didn't get it. So I grabbed for it. I had a hand on it. I tried to get it. They pulled it back, and then these scumbags, came at me. But it's just, I don't know. It just makes me, the whole thing just makes me sick. We're burning down our own country. The Democrats who invited this are here behind their walled city, and they've got these scumbags going around the city burning it down. You got all these little pamphlets. They're throwing their trash on the ground over here. You got the eat the rich, death to fascism, but they're the ones actually supporting fascism. It's a disgrace, man. It's an absolute disgrace, and it's brought to you by the Democrats of America.
This is fascistic. These guys tried to hurt you. They assaulted you. That is fascistic.
Yeah.
So it's political.
Yeah. I mean,
political violence.
It's the whole thing. Antifa is exactly, and the left are exactly, they're professional projectionists. They claim you are the thing that they actually are. They say you're a racist, you're a fascist, you're a bigot, you're all of these isms, when in reality, that's what they are. And they use those terms, they use those tactics to intimidate their political enemies. And I just said, screw it. I'm not watching you do that, and I'm not backing down. This is the life or death of our generation. It's the life or death of our country. If we don't get this right in November, our country's gone. So it's time that everybody in this country that loves this country stand up for something. And thank God it stayed mostly peaceful, other than a few shoves here and there. But thank God too, the police actually did some of their job. I wish Mayor Johnson would let them actually do their job. If you stop voting for Democrats, police can actually do their job, but they made several arrests, but they should make many more. So right now, we're right outside. This is the Israeli consulate behind me. Thankfully, the police protected it. They didn't let it burn down, but there are groups of these marauding Antifa communist thugs marching around the streets of Chicago, basically being followed by police, committing violence and then being arrested, committing violence, moving on. And this is just the beginning. This is just day 2, guys. We got 2 more days of this. So I anticipate it's only going to get worse.
So Ben, can you talk us? So that's the consulate behind you. For those who are unfamiliar, like myself, can you talk us through? It looks like there's quite an army of police officers there. Is there a pile of trash? Is there still any burning? Is still anything on fire? Can you talk us through what's actually happening right now?
Yeah, this is actually where they burned the flag. This is the remnants of the Israeli U.S. flag they burned. I don't see the actual remnants of the U.S. flag. By the time I got pulled out, grab that. I got pulled out by some guys behind me before it got any crazier. But yeah, this is just all the garbage that they've left here on the ground. You've got police in every direction, on every corner around here. You got police here. You still have some of the Antifa guys out here on the corner. And the worst to me, this is really the criminal conspiracy of the left that are working together. The left tries to say, oh, Antifa is just an idea. It's not an idea. It is a well-coordinated, well-funded, organized enemy combatant group against America. Yes. They have photographers, they have media, they have attorneys that work for them. You see these guys in the green hats, the National Lawyers Guild. This is a coup against our country, being paid for by the radical left, people like Soros and the rest of them. And this is what you see. You see chaos. You see police that are neutered from the defund the police movement. It's this unholy alliance between Antifa, BLM, now Hamas. And when Trump wins, I pray he wins, you're going to have 15 million plus illegals that they're going to be recruiting to join them. So it's bad, man. It's bad. And everyone needs to understand this, whether or not, if Kamala wins, our country dies anyways. But these guys aren't stopping. If Trump wins, the civil war, we're already in a civil war. It's only going to continue. These guys are mobilizing for that. And we just need to be prepared for that. We need to allow police, law enforcement, and military to do their jobs. We need to unhandcuff them. We need DAs that actually prosecute. And we need a populace that's willing to support the rule of law. And we need a media that tells the truth. Until we get all of those things, we're going to be screwed for a while.
Ben, we have your footage up on screen right now, but you brought up such a fascinating point. You have this giant pile of signs that have been professionally made. They're not cheap to make these signs. They've been printed off. They've been driven in U-Haul trucks along with these protesters who have been bussed in and are organized and defended by an army of lawyers to the teeth. Maybe you can show us the signs. Maybe you can see them, but they're like, they leave them in the there. So that's the, okay. So it's like,
there's more. Let me get you more.
I guess
go ahead,
the point is, this is paramilitary, right? Like these people are organized. That's what you've seen, as you can see here. This is the footage. This is the footage of Ben grabbing the flag.
Yeah, absolutely. This is well coordinated. It's organized. Can you grab that one for me real quick, Eric? It's well funded. These are
professional signs.
Professional signs. These are not
hand drawn. Is what I'm saying. It's not an organic thing. Nobody's sitting there in their garage.
These are mass produced.
Yeah.
This is a global jihad, a global communist jihad against the West. It's the same thing we're seeing in England. It's the same thing we're seeing in France. It's this coming together of forces that hate the Western world. So whether that's Islamists in England that we see taking over the streets there, or in France, which I just saw after the elections, now this unholy alliance with them, and anarcho-communists, which call themselves Antifa. It's all of these groups that have come together, which have been funded for decades by leftist organizations and leftists themselves, Democrats themselves. It's the story of the slippery slope. They used these guys for 4 years under President Trump for the coup against President Trump. And then now all of a sudden, I don't know if they've lost control or somebody else took control, but now this whole group of Western hating leftists are uprising, not just here in America, but around the world. But everyone needs to understand, this is a global movement. What we're seeing in America is tied directly to what you're seeing in Europe as well.
So you actually brought up a stunning point that I didn't actually think about. The criminal aliens that are currently here. And we went to the south side of Chicago today, and everyone's Barack Obama's old neighborhood, and everyone's so upset about the migrant shelters here and how they've taken over the high schools and the gyms and the places where their children play sports. They were raging about it. We'll be up with that tomorrow. You brought up a pretty incredible point, which is that they had planned, if Trump were to win on election night in 2020, they had planned to stage riots. They did these war games where they were going to use BLM and they were going to use Antifa, and they were going to try and create so much hysteria and mass protest that Trump wouldn't be able to take office, wouldn't be able to reassume office. That's been documented in their war games. So you're saying that if Trump wins in November, that plan kicks off again?
100% immediately from day one, from hour one. It is, if you thought it was bad, the 4 years of the coup against President Trump, the mostly peaceful protests burning down America, you thought that was bad, it's going to get a hell of a lot worse.
So will you see these people up close? Do they smell bad? Are they just like, are they losers?
They're pretty gross. They're pretty gross. I was actually at their little tent city. It's the same thing you saw, at all these universities. Those were not organic protests when we saw the universities taken over by these encampments. It's all the same. And they're gross. It's ironic, isn't it, Benny? Isn't it ironic that the same people that are calling President Trump and J.D. Vance weird are the ones that you look at them and you're like, dude, you don't even know what a man is. You don't even know what a woman is. I'm watching these guys out there yesterday, dudes with beards dressed up like women. And I'm supposed to think that I'm the weird one that just loves God, my family, and my country. How is that? How have we gotten to that place in our country where the sickest, the most base part of our society has been uplifted to be normal, but yet you and I and the average American are the weird one? So, I mean, it's clear. It's not the truth, but when you get a complicit media that goes along with it and says that Antifa are just anti-fascist, like we saw for 4 years with President Trump, and that people that stand up for America are somehow racist Nazis, the average citizen may not know any better. But I think we've had enough time to be able to see it, to realize who these people are and who we are. And I think the average American people out there see it for what it is now.
Are you getting live trolled, Ben? This is
Oh
unbelievable.
yeah, oh yeah. It's
the abortion
incredible.
demons again.
It's the demons.
It's the abortion
The demons.
It's the abortion demons. They
They're
love
attacking
killing
you.
babies. She can't stand not being able to have a baby, and she realizes God made her to do that, but she can't stand it. So she likes to follow us around. But she needs Jesus. You need Jesus. You need Jesus. Oh yeah, she's gonna have a vasectomy and an abortion, because that's what can happen. And in the mind of a liberal, you can have a vasectomy and an abortion at the same time. That's what's happening here at the DNC. That's the level. This is the level of the discourse with the left in America right here.
So are you sure this person doesn't work for Joy Reid and she's not getting revenge for you asking her about having Trump's haircut?
About her hair. She might. I haven't seen Joy Reid at the event yet. If I find her, I'm gonna follow up, because she changed her haircut.
Bro,
so I don't
you
know.
got Bro, you got Joy Reid to cut her hair. We have the clip. We're loading it right now. We've played it on the show like a million times, but we'll do it.
It's the best. It's the best.
You got Joy Reid to cut her Trump hair. She suffered from this very special strand of TDS that's very rare, where you actually become
TDS.
Donald Trump, right? You become Donald Trump.
It's a version of Stockholm syndrome, where you end up loving the person, but in this case, it's not the abuser; it's the person you abuse. So it's like reverse Stockholm syndrome.
It's amazing. We have it right here. We'll pop it up when it's up and loaded, but it's incredible. We'll play it with audio if you don't mind, Ben.
And by the way, I lost her. I think she gave up. I think she gave up. I don't know.
Maybe
she ran out of funding for this little part of it. I don't know.
She spawned back into Dante's Inferno, Ben. Yes. Okay, here we go. Here's Ben Berkwam changing American history, getting Joy Reid to cut her Trump.
Just wondering, do you think people with Trump derangement syndrome know they have it?
You're an idiot.
And second question, did you steal Trump's haircut or did he steal yours? Cultural appropriation haircut right there. She didn't like that too much.
So good.
Joy Reid, everybody.
All right.
So good.
Trump derangement syndrome.
All right.
So good.
This is a very special thing. This is a very special thing you've done, Ben. Jack's got to say,
I got to jet off to got a special project that I'm working on, but if it goes well, perhaps I'll pull a Ben and call in.
Do it, baby.
All right.
You're heading in. You're heading.
Give us
a hint.
We'll
Give
see.
us a hint. All right.
We'll
okay.
see. I want to see what Barack Obama looks like up close in person.
Ooh.
All right.
You go, Jackie boy.
Here
Watch
we
out.
go.
Watch out. It spreads.
So not talking about Michelle. So I'm final question here, Ben, and I think this is quite important. Like, where do these people come from? Do they just prey on like mentally disturbed individuals, on people with hormone imbalances, daddy issues? Like, where all are these people from? And also, is Antifa the largest white supremacy group in the world because they all happen to be translucently pasty white?
Well, I don't know. I think it would be, it depends on your definition of white supremacist, not neo-Nazi. I think Hamas, Hezbollah, jihadists would be right up there with them. Although they might not be white supremacists, they're definitely fascist. So I think they're competing for who's the most fascist of the ones that call themselves anti-fascist. But it is, I see a lot of them, and they're just living sad lives. They have no hope. It's generations of taking God out of society. It's what you get when you said, moral relativism is the answer. You don't need God anymore. You don't need a dad to teach you right from wrong. The schools will do that. Your friends will do that. Your university will do that. And now you have a generation of young people who don't really have a sense of identity outside of, well, I got to do something to feel important. Well, what do I do? Well, I got this group at college campus that they say if I go out with them, I can be important. And this thing that they're doing seems important. So I'm going to go out there and do that thing. And that's what it looks like mostly to me. And then you get the ones that are at the top of this thing, that are leading it, that are funding it, that are true demons, that prey on the lowest, the most vulnerable among us. And they go into those groups and they tie those people up and they bring them into this. And those people, a lot of them, I think, just don't realize what's happening to them. But the people at the top that are organizing this, and this goes all the way to the top of the DNC, They know exactly what they're doing, and they are absolutely pure evil.
So you think the DNC is working in coordination with these groups?
No doubt about it. The people
Wow.
within the DNC, look, this is what they are, what Antifa and what all these groups were, and that now you're having a bit of a civil war between them, were the brown shirts of the Nazis. These were the henchmen that the Democrats sent out, and all you have to do is go back and look at the trends during President Trump's presidency, and it actually even how it started to happen under George Bush. Some of these groups started coming out, but in particular under President Trump, there were media dog whistles that were sent out by the mainstream media that were sent to them by the DNC, which immediately mobilized Antifa and these groups around the country, and eventually BLM and the rest of them, to go out and to begin by protesting, turn that into riots, eventually burning down cities. If you go back and watch the media, it was always led by the media, which was driven by the Democrat elites, by the Democrat establishment, which then get filtered down to the brown shirts on the streets to go out and do the damage. Now you've got this weird situation where the DNC is still, I would say, the head of the snake, but you've got all these little tentacles, radical tentacles, that have realized, well, we don't have to follow their rules necessarily. We're not getting funded by them. They've got their own funding now. And so you've got all of this chaos, which is what you expect. I mean, this is what always happens. Anarchists, a lot of these guys are anarchists. What happens when you have anarchy? You have a vacuum of power. So what happens? You have to fill that power, and you end up getting these skirmishes between who's going to be in charge. But at the end of this is the base of the Democrat Party. These guys are what drive the ship. It's the same La Raza people that are pushing for open borders. The only reason why Joe Biden and Kamala Harris now are pretending like they have any concern about border sovereignty is because they know they're going to lose the election without it. But at the base of the Democrats is open borders, it's radical leftism, it's communism, it's fascism, and now it's jihadism. They just won't tell you that yet. They're honest about the communist part, but the rest of this, they haven't figured out how to blend it in and make it look nice. But it's all tied together.
Bro, we checked the other day that Kamala Harris, the Minnesota Freedom Fund donation link is still up. My brother, it's still up, right? There's like fact checks saying she never did it. The link's still there, man. It's crazy. You can get on X and you can follow Ben. I got to tell you, this is the most full endorsement I can possibly give. Ben goes places that I'm shocked how he even gets access. He speaks to people. He's fearless, and he exposes the left, and he knows so much about them. And I think it's a gift. I think it's actually a spiritual gift. He's able to see these spiritual forces, and he exposes them. So please follow Ben. We have your account up. Ben, anything you want to shout out before we go here?
Yeah, well, you can watch my show, Law and Border. Got 26 episodes. You can binge watch it, americasvoice.news. My social media, you got it there, at Ben Burkholm. FrontlineAmerica.com is my website. But the most important thing that everyone that watches this can do is find the Lord. If you don't know the Lord, get a relationship with Jesus and pray for this generation. That is what we need in this country. It all stemmed from taking God out of our society. Jesus is the answer for this, and we've got to do that. Get right with the Lord, get right with your family. Strong families build strong communities, build strong states, build strong countries. That's what we need in this country. So God bless you, brother. I love you. I love your family. I love your show, and I love the American people.
Same to you, Ben. Godspeed. Stay safe out there, buddy.
Will do, bro. Stay tuned. Stay tuned. More to come.
Okay, we're here for you. All right. Thank you, Ben. We are here with Caitlin Sinclair. What's up?
What's up, my
going
friend?
on? What a wild day. Exciting day.
Yeah.
The big news. RFK Jr. potentially dropping out and endorsing Trump. That'd be wild.
I don't think she was supposed to drop that, but
she was like, yeah, we're probably going to do that.
We talked to some Bobby supporters today, and they were in disguise. They were wearing Kamala Harris waltz pins and whatnot. And then I had this red outfit on, and they were like, oh, she's MAGA. We can tell her. We actually don't support Kamala. We support Bobby, and if he endorses Trump, then we will vote for Trump.
I think there's a lot of that. The two of these guys, I want to get your take on this. The two of these guys, and do we have the clip loaded of this VP, Nicole Shanahan? So this all stems from Nicole Shanahan, who's the vice presidential selectee for Robert Kennedy Jr., who's running as an independent, former Democrat. He really hates Joe Biden, and he did work for President Trump. Most people don't know this. RFK Jr. worked for Trump in the White House. He was on a special task force. He subpoenaed Dr. Fauci back in the day. I mean, these are some wild things, and two of these dudes get along. Many and some even on this program had speculated that RFK Jr. might have been like a Trump vice presidential selectee. It could have been Trump Kennedy. I don't know what you think about that. Let us know in the chat. But today, Nicole Shanahan, who's his VP, went on a podcast and said, yo, we're planning on probably dropping out and endorsing Trump because we're getting 5% in the polls and we don't want Kamala Harris to win. Strong stuff. Here we go.
There's two options that we're looking at, and one is staying in, forming that new party, but we run the risk of a Kamala Harris and Waltz presidency because we draw votes from Trump, or we draw somehow more votes from Trump, or we walk away right now and join forces with Donald Trump, and you know, we walk away from that and we explain to our base why we're making this decision.
So that's the clip. The response has been pretty wild online. Talk me through it. And you talked with some Kennedy supporters today.
Talked with some Kennedy supporters today. I don't know what the disguise was about. They said that they were being treated nicer wearing all of that Harris Walls gear. So yeah, that. Meanwhile, you know, this is my outfit. So I wasn't treated poorly though. I don't know.
Were you at the DNC?
So we tried to use the credentials that our friend Jack is going over to use right now. And there's about like 4 different checkpoints. And at one of the checkpoints, they check ID. Right? I know. So we're working on that.
So you're telling me they're racist.
I know. I can't believe it. What a novelty.
Wait, so they checked your ID and they said NO?
So my assistants went over to kind of pre-check this before I went over, and they were like, there's all these checkpoints, and we made it through the first few, and then they checked our IDs, and they didn't match up with, I guess, Charlie, whoever the credentials were under. So Charlie was a good friend and was trying to lend them to us because he had to head out, of course. Yeah. Well, now Jack's having a ball, so we'll let him have all the fun, and we'll see if we could have some fun tomorrow.
So they not only have border security, they have ID.
Yeah.
Check.
That's right. Apparently it was really ratchet in there. So
what's that feel like to be racially persecuted and bigoted against by the DNC?
I think I'm going to add it to my resume.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm gonna wear that as a badge of honor. Okay, so Bobby Kennedy, this is an interesting one. I actually think that Trump should adopt some of his policies on attacking big food, big pharma, and the health industry, because to me, that is one of my biggest issues. And Bobby Kennedy is the only one that's really been talking about that, the only one that's really done something in the past. So I think an endorsement from Bobby towards Donald Trump would be huge, and it sounds like that makes the most sense. What bothers me is these independent voters that are still going to vote for an independent candidate or write in someone's name on the ballot. Right. I mean, who is that helping? And they think they're proving such a big point. So some of that was shocking to hear, but I talked to a pretty large group of Kennedy supporters that said if he endorses Trump, that's where they would move to. So that was encouraging.
So you're like 100% MAGA. You're close with the president's circle. Here's what President Trump said today when this news broke. There was, of course, a microphone right in his face. Here's Trump's response.
Can I ask you about RFK? Because just moments ago, his running mate said that they were considering endorsing you. Have you considered him for a role in the administration, and what role would that be?
Well, we haven't, but I would love that endorsement because I've always liked him.
Would you also consider putting him in the administration?
You're asking me a very unusual question. I haven't been asked that question yet. I like him a lot. I respect him a lot. I probably would if something like that would happen.
Come on, the FDA? You could be the new CDC director?
Can you imagine an administration? Donald Trump, Vivek Ramaswamy, Steve Bannon, Bobby Kennedy. I mean, iconic.
Elon Musk, too.
Elon Musk, maybe Kid Rock. Who knows?
Yeah, Elon Musk confirming that he would love to serve in a Donald Trump administration with a really kick-ass AI featuring the Doge, the Department Against Government Waste or something like that.
We'll take it.
Yeah. So let me know if we got That beautiful tweet. So so you were outside then, the DNC?
Yeah, so we did some just MOS stuff, really just trying to understand what's on voters' minds, top issues. Kind of stayed just downtown. I wanted to talk to either tourists, just real people, right? It didn't have to be anyone that was attending the convention. Just like, hey, what do you guys think? What do you think of the city if you're a local here? How is the homelessness? All the migrants coming here. And I have to say, a lot of these people just really hate themselves. I mean, they wake up angry. They seem to hate themselves. The women here that were, you know, all Kamala Harris, they don't shave their armpits. They definitely smell. They are so scary to look at. I thought I was going to get beat up. So I was just trying to be as friendly as possible. Like, oh, hey, so you guys think it's empowering that they're giving abortions on buses? And they were all like, hell yeah, girl. And I was all like, girl, how? Why? Some of these people, I don't know. I think it's like they were the outcasts in high school or something, and they just never got over it. And
yeah, I think it's a
they're
hormonal
lost.
thing. I do. I think it's a hormonal thing. I think here's the Elon. This is the Elon Musk AI from earlier today. Department of Government Efficiency, Doge, perfect, and more alliteration for Elon Musk. So it's like, one, yes, you want a meritocracy. You want people who've built things and who are successful to be running things. Two, you don't want people who are deeply hormonally imbalanced and medicated and self-loathing and wake up in the morning and stare inside the mirror. And this is mental illness. Doug Emhoff's up. Speaking of mental illness, I don't know if you've ever seen, this is Kamala Harris's husband, and here we go.
To Kamala,
his speech.
Well, we just saw where she is. She's out on the trail, listening to and talking with voters. Honey, I can't wait for you to come back to Chicago because we're having a great time here.
Oh, no. That's so
I love
cringe.
you so much. I'm so proud of how you're stepping up for all of us. But that's who she is. Wherever she's needed, however she's needed,
Except
Kamala
the border.
rises to the occasion. And she did it for me and our family. And now that the country needs her, she's showing you what we already know. She's ready to lead. She brings both joy and toughness to this task, and she will be a great president we will all be proud of.
So authentic.
Now, I'm the
people are
son
so
of
happy.
two Brooklynites, Mike and Barb. They've been together almost 70 years. My dad worked in the shoe business in Manhattan, and he moved our family out to New Jersey. Where's New Jersey? I see you out there. When I was a little kid. And in a lot of ways, I had a typical Jersey suburban childhood. I biked around the neighborhood. I took the bus to Hebrew school. And I rode to Little League practice in the way back of my coach's wood-paneled station wagon. And if we did well, we got to have a Slurpee after. In my neighborhood, everyone left their garage door open. Wherever you ended up at dinner time, that's the family that fed you. Everyone took care of everyone else. And the guys I grew up with are still my best friends. The group chat is active every day, and it's probably blowing up right now, guys. When my dad had to get a new job, we moved across the country to LA. Money was tight. Hey, California. Money was tight, so I worked at McDonald's in high school for some extra cash. Not only was I Employee of the Month, but I still have the framed picture, which you just saw, and there was a ring, golden arches and all. And then I waited tables, parked cars. I was working full-time so I could afford to go to college part-time. And thanks to partial scholarships, student loans, and a little help from my dad, I got myself through law school. And I got my first job as a lawyer.
Yay, lawyers!
Which is also where I met the guys in my fantasy football league. And a lot has changed in our lives since the early 90s, but my team name is still Nirvana.
They're going
after the band,
they're going so hard for white dudes
I
right
worked
now.
hard.
This
And
is the
I
personification
love
of
being a
white dudes
lawyer.
for Harris.
And by the way, I still get to be part of the profession by teaching students at Georgetown Law School. I got married, became a dad to Cole and Ella. Unfortunately, I went through a divorce, but eventually started worrying about how I would make it all work. And that's when something unexpected happened. In 2013, I walked into a contentious client meeting. We worked through the issue, and by the end of the meeting, the now happy client offered to set me up on a blind date, which is how I ended up with Kamala Harris's phone number.
You and Montel Williams.
Now, for generations,
every other dude in California.
People have debated when to call the person you're being set up with. And never in history has anyone suggested 8:30 a.m. And yet, that's when I dialed. I got Kamala's voicemail, and I just started rambling. Hey, it's Doug. I'm on my way to an early meeting. Again, it's Doug. I remember I was trying to grab the words out of the air and just put them back in my mouth. And for what seemed like far too many minutes, I hung up.
This guy's human soul.
By the way, Kamala saved that voicemail. And she makes me listen to it on every anniversary.
What a sociopath.
But that message wasn't the only unusual thing about that day. Now, Kamala, who normally would have been working hard at her office, just happened to be waiting at her apartment for a contractor to do some work on her kitchen. I was eating at my desk, which was not a regular occurrence for a busy lawyer like me who appreciated a good business lunch. But that's when she called me back. And we talked for an hour, and we laughed. Well, you know that laugh. I love that laugh.
Oh, we know that laugh.
Oh, dude. This guy has
And
taken all the
maybe
vasectomies on the bus.
That counted as our first date. Or maybe it was that Saturday night when I picked her up and told her, buckle up, I'm a really bad driver. Because you can't hide anything from Kamala Harris, so you might as well own it. And as I got to know her better and just fell in love fast, I learned what drives Kamala. And it's what you've seen over these past 4 years, and especially these past 4 weeks.
Ruthless, obsessive,
She
vengeful
finds joy
pursuits for power.
in pursuing justice. She stands up to bullies just like my parents taught me to.
Backstabbing her boss.
She likes to see
stealing
people do well,
his nomination.
but hates when they're treated unfairly. She believes this work requires a basic curiosity in just how people are doing. Her empathy is her strength.
Empathy for illegals.
Over the past decade, Kamala has connected me more deeply to my faith, even though it's not the same as hers. She comes to synagogue with me for high holiday services, and I go to church with her for Easter. I get to enjoy her mom's chili relleno recipe every Christmas, and she makes a mean brisket for Passover. It brings me right back to my grandmother's apartment in Brooklyn, you know, the one with the plastic-covered couches. But Kamala has fought against anti-Semitism and all forms of hate her whole career. She's the one who encouraged me as second gentleman to take up that fight, which is so personal to me. And those of you who belong to blended families know that they can be a little complicated. But as soon as our kids started calling her Mamala, I knew we'd be okay. Ella Ella calls us a three-headed parenting machine. Kamala and Kirsten, thank you both. Thank you both for always putting your family and the kids first. Now, Cole and Ella's friends knew that when they'd come over for Sunday dinner with Mamala, it was going to be real talk. In between taking cooking instructions, they'd have to answer questions about what problem they wanted to solve in the world. They learned that you've always got to be prepared because Kamala is going to prosecute the case. And in the same breath that Cole and Greenlee told us that they were engaged, they asked Kamala to officiate their wedding. And in the same way that she always steps up when it matters, Kamala put so much time into those remarks, and she bound them in a book that matched her dark red dress, and then turned that into a gift for the happy couple. A few days ago, during this incredible time we're going through, there was a brief window when Kamala was back at home. And I saw her sitting on her favorite chair, and in the middle of a wild month, I just hoped that she was having a quiet moment to herself. But then I realized she was on the phone. And of course, my mind went to all the potential crises that the vice president could be dealing with. Was it domestic? Was it foreign? Was it campaign? I could see she was focused, and all I knew was that it must be something important. And it turns out it was. Ella had called her. That's Kamala. That's Kamala. Those kids are her priorities, and that scene was a perfect map of her heart. She's always been there for our children, and I know she'll always be there for yours too.
She looks like a Tim
Kamala
Burton.
is a joyful warrior. It's doing for her country what she has always done for the people that she loves. Her passion will benefit all of us when she's our president. And here's the thing about joyful warriors. They're still warriors. And Kamala is as tough as it comes. Just ask the criminals, the global gangsters, and the witnesses before the Senate Judiciary Committee. She never runs from a fight. And she knows the best way to deal with a coward is to take him head on. Because we all know cowards are weak, and Kamala Harris can smell weakness. She doesn't tolerate any BS. You've all seen that look, and you know that look I'm talking about. That look is not just a meme. It reflects her true belief in honest and direct leadership. And it's also why she will not be distracted by nonsense. Kamala knows that in order to win, we cannot lose focus. America, in this election, you have to decide who to trust with your family's future. I trusted Kamala with our family's future. It was the best decision I ever made. This Thursday will be our 10th wedding anniversary, which I know it means I'm about to hear that embarrassing voicemail again. However, that's not all I'll be hearing. That same night, I'll be hearing my wife, Kamala Harris, accept your nomination for President of the United States. And
So wait,
with
Kamala...
your help, she will lead with joy and toughness, with that laugh and that look, with compassion and conviction. She'll lead from the belief that wherever we come from, whatever we look like, we're strongest when we fight for what we believe in, not just against what we fear. Kamala Harris was exactly the right person for me at an important moment in my life. And at this moment in our nation's history, she is exactly the right president. Thank you so much.
Okay, so wait a second. The entire speech is about how Kamala shows up and is such a fighter and is so fearless. And it's been 30 days since she stole the nomination from Joe Biden, also about how loyal she is. And she hasn't done a press interview. She's so strong. She's so fearless. She's so sharp. And she has run away from every question that any journalist has asked her.
So strong, so fearless, so tough, yet there is zero policies, zero vision, and zero agenda on KamalaHarris.com. Just 35 pronouns.
Yes. So doesn't really vibe. Also, I don't like that was really, I mean, everyone's calling her him a dork and a beta. Oh, well.
Oh, speaking of.
Yes. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen.
He may have more testosterone.
It's Michelle Obama. Here we go. Let's hear it in the comment section. For MO.
Okay. We got a big night ahead. Thank you all so much.
She doesn't want to be here.
So much. Okay. Hey. Hello, Chicago.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
I'm going to die of cringe.
All right. Something.
We're all going to die of cringe.
Wonderfully magical is in the air, isn't it?
Here comes the fakest. Here comes the fakest speech you have ever heard.
We're feeling it here in this arena, but it's spreading all across this country we love. A familiar feeling that's been buried too deep for far too long. You know what I'm talking about. It's the contagious power of hope. The anticipation.
Oh my God.
The energy, the exhilaration of once again being on the cusp of a brighter day. The chance to vanquish the demons of fear, division, and hate that have consumed us and continue pursuing the unfinished promise of this great nation, the dream that our parents and grandparents fought and died and sacrificed for. America, hope is making a comeback.
I love the crowd shots.
But to be honest, I am realizing that until recently, I have mourned the dimming of that hope. And maybe you've experienced the same feelings, that deep pit in my stomach, a palpable sense of dread about the future. And for me, that mourning has also been mixed with my own personal grief. The last time I was here in my hometown was to memorialize my mother, the woman who showed me the meaning of hard work and humility and decency, the woman who set my moral compass high and showed me the power of my own voice. Folks, I still feel her loss so profoundly. I wasn't even sure if I'd be steady enough to stand before you tonight, but my heart compelled me to be here because of the sense of duty that I feel to honor her memory and to remind us all not to squander the sacrifices our elders made to give us a better future. You see, my mom, in her steady, quiet way, lived out that striving sense of hope every single day of her life. She believed that all children, all people have value, that anyone can succeed if given the opportunity. She and my father didn't aspire to be wealthy. In fact, they were suspicious of folks who took more than they needed. They understood that it wasn't enough for their kids to thrive if everyone else around us was drowning.
Communism.
So
it's like
my mother,
it's the buttery words of
local
communism. It's like
school.
straight out of the
She
Communist
always
Manifesto.
looked out for the other kids on the block. She was glad to do the thankless, unglamorous work that for generations has strengthened the fabric of this nation. The belief that if you do unto others, if you love thy neighbor, if you work and scrape and sacrifice, it will pay off. If
really?
not for you, then maybe for
crazy.
your children or your grandchildren.
So, hey, lady, you own a 10-acre
You see,
mansion on Martha's
those
Vineyard, and you never
values
opened it up for migrants.
have been passed
So
on
maybe
through
explain that.
family farms and factory towns.
You have multiple
through
beach
tree-lined
mansions.
Streets and crowded tenements, through prayer groups and National Guard units and social studies classrooms. Those were the values my mother poured into me until her very last breath. Kamala Harris and I built our lives on those same foundational values. Even though our mothers grew up an ocean apart, they shared the same belief in the promise of this country. That's why her mother moved here from India at 19. It's why she taught Kamala about justice, about the obligation to lift others up, about our responsibility to give more than we take. She'd often tell her daughter, don't sit around and complain about things, do something. So, with that voice in her head, Kamala went out and she worked hard in school, graduating from an HBCU, earning her law degree at a state school. And then she went on to work for the people, fighting to hold lawbreakers accountable, strengthening the rule of law, fighting to get folks better wages, cheaper prescription drugs, a good education, decent health care, child care, elder care. From a middle-class household, Kamala worked her way up to become Vice President of the United States of America.
Is that the elder care you're talking about?
Kamala Harris is more than ready for this moment. She is one of the most qualified people ever to seek the office of the presidency. And she is one of the most dignified. A tribute to her mother, to my mother, and to your mother too. The embodiment of the stories we tell ourselves about this country. Her story is your story. It's my story. It's the story of the vast majority of Americans trying to build a better life. Look, Kamala knows, like we do, that regardless of where you come from, what you look like, who you love, how you worship, or what's in your bank account, we all deserve the opportunity to build a decent life. All of our contributions deserve to be accepted and valued. Because no one has a monopoly on what it means to be an American. No one. Kamala has shown her allegiance to this nation, not by spewing anger and bitterness, but by living a life of service and always pushing the doors of opportunity open to others. She understands that most of us will never be afforded the grace of failing forward. We will never benefit from the affirmative action of generational wealth.
Wealth is bad. Everyone needs to be equal.
If we bankrupt a business or choke in a crisis, we don't get a second, third, or fourth chance. If things don't go our way, we don't have the luxury of whining or cheating others to get further ahead. No. We don't get to change the rules so we always win. If we see a mountain in front of us, we don't expect there to be an escalator waiting to take us to the top. No. We put our heads down. We get to work. In America, we do something. And throughout her entire life, that's what we've seen from Kamala Harris. The steel of her spine, the steadiness of her upbringing, the honesty of her example, and yes, the joy of her laughter and her light.
They are going in on the laughter line. They were told. They were told about the laughter.
Of the two major
it's
candidates
amazing.
in this race,
oh my.
only Kamala Harris truly understands the unseen labor and unwavering commitment that has always made America great. Now, unfortunately, we know what comes next. We know folks are going to do everything they can to distort her truth. My husband and I sadly know a little something about this.
Oh, yes. Oh, you're such victims.
For years,
oh, yes.
Donald Trump did everything in his power to try to make people fear us. See, his limited, narrow view of the world made him feel threatened by the existence of two hardworking, highly educated, successful people who happen to be black.
Yes, you're right. You're a victim. Yes.
Wait.
You're worth hundreds of millions of dollars. You're a victim. Everyone should feel sorry for you. You have multiple beachside mansions.
I want to know.
You have the biggest house on Martha's Vineyard.
Know.
Everyone should feel sorry.
Who's going to tell him that the job he's currently seeking might just be one of those black jobs?
Oh my.
Look, it's his same old con. His same old con. Doubling down on ugly, misogynistic, racist lies as a substitute for real ideas and solutions that will actually make people's lives better. Look, because cutting our health care, taking away our freedom to control our bodies, the freedom to become a mother through IVF like I did, those things are not going to improve the health outcomes of our wives, mothers, and daughters. Shutting down the Department of Education, banning our books, none of that will prepare our kids for the future. Demonizing our children for being who they are and loving who they love, look, that doesn't make anybody's life better. Instead, it only makes us small. And let me tell you this, going small is never the answer. Going small is the opposite of what we teach our kids. Going small is petty, it's unhealthy, and quite frankly, it's unpresidential. So, why would any of us accept this from anyone seeking our highest office? Why would we normalize that type of backward leadership? Doing so only demeans and cheapens our politics. It only serves to further discourage good, big-hearted people from wanting to get involved at all. America, our parents taught us better than that, and we deserve so much better than that. That's why we must do everything in our power to elect two of those good, big-hearted people. There is no other choice than Kamala Harris and Tim Walz. No other choice. as we embrace this renewed sense of hope, let us not forget the despair we have felt. Let us not forget what we are up against. Yes, Kamala and Tim are doing great now. We're loving it. They're packing arenas across the country. Folks are energized. We are feeling good. But remember, there are still so many people who are desperate for a different outcome, who are ready to question and criticize every move Kamala makes.
Here comes the race hatred.
Who are eager to spread those lies, who don't want to vote for a woman, who will continue to prioritize building their wealth over ensuring that everyone has enough.
Communism.
So no matter how good we feel tonight or tomorrow or the next day, this is going to be an uphill battle. So folks, we cannot be our own worst enemies. No. See, because the minute something goes wrong, the minute a lie takes hold, folks, we cannot start wringing our hands. We cannot get a Goldilocks complex about whether everything is just right. And we cannot indulge our anxieties about whether this country will elect someone like Kamala instead of doing everything we can to get someone like Kamala elected.
She hasn't mentioned Joe Biden once, which I think is like so Machiavelli.
And Tim, they have lived amazing lives.
Not a single Joe Biden
and
mention.
I am confident that they will lead with compassion, inclusion, and grace. But they
diversity,
are still
equity,
only
and
human.
inclusion.
They are not perfect. And like all of us, they will make mistakes.
So thoughtful.
But luckily, y'all, this is not just on them. No, this is up to us, all of us, to be the solution that we seek. It's up to all of us to be the antidote to the darkness and division. Look, I don't care how you identify politically, whether you're Democrat, Republican, Independent, or none of the above. This is our time to stand up for what we know in our hearts is right. To stand up, not just for our basic freedoms, but for decency and humanity, for basic respect, dignity, and empathy, for the values at the very foundation of this democracy. It's up to us to remember what Kamala's mother told her. Don't just sit around and complain, do something. So if they lie about her, and they will, we've got to do something. If we see a bad poll, and we will, we got to put down that phone and do something. If we start feeling tired, if we start feeling that dread creeping back in, we got to pick ourselves up, throw water on our face, and what? We only have 2.5 months, y'all, to get this done.
Because you stole it from
Only
Joe Biden.
11 weeks to make sure every single person we know is registered and has a voting plan. So we cannot afford for anyone America to sit on their hands and wait to be called. Don't complain if no one from the campaign has specifically reached out to you to ask you for your support. There is simply no time for that kind of foolishness. You know what you need to do. So, consider this to be your official ask. Michelle Obama is asking you, no, I'm telling y'all to do something. Because you all, this election is going to be close.
That's fine.
In some states, just a handful, listen to me, a handful of votes in every precinct could decide the winner. So we need to vote in numbers that erase any doubt. We need to overwhelm any effort to suppress us. Our fate is in our hands. In 77 days, we have the power to turn our country away from the fear, division, and smallness of the past. We have the power to marry our hope with our action. We have the power to pay forward the love, sweat, and sacrifice of our mothers and fathers and all those who came before us. We did it before, y'all, and we sure can do it again. Let us work like our lives depend on it. And let us keep moving our country forward and go higher, yes, always higher than we've ever gone before as we elect the next president and vice president of the United States, Kamala Harris and Tim Walz. Thank you all. God bless.
Tim Walz. Do something. If you see something, say something. Feel bad for me. Donald Trump said true things about me and my husband, and now I live on a private island.
Now,
actually, I live on multiple private islands.
Before I go,
Do
I have
something.
one more job tonight.
Everyone's chanting, do something. If you do something, say something.
Yeah. One more job. You all, thank you for all the love, but it is now my honor to introduce somebody who knows a whole lot about hope. Someone who has spent his life strengthening our democracy, and let me tell you, as someone who lives with him, he wakes up every day, and thinks about what's best for this country. Please welcome America's 44th president and the love of my life, Barack Obama.
Oh boy. Okay. Oh my. Okay. Well, here we go.
Trump's dance moves are better.
Yeah. I think he's trying to do the Trump dance moves. She's taller than him, which I've always found fascinating. And she has bigger feet, as proven by their Instagram posts. So there's that. And Barack Obama, she was really cranking it up. They're victims, you see. They're victims. They're worth hundreds of millions of dollars, and they live on private islands, and they're victims. Remember this. Feel bad for them. Their lives have been so terrible.
Thank you.
Yeah. And important to remember that they need another 4 years. Don't worry, everything will be fixed in another 4 years. Everything that we destroyed.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
Yeah, because they'll do something.
They'll do something.
They just haven't done it yet.
They'll do something. That's right.
All right.
Trust us. This time we got it. We'll do something.
Chicago, it's good to be home. It is good to be home, and I don't know about you, but I'm feeling fired up.
Oh, here we go. The boom, clap, hallelujah. Here we go. How many fake accents we're going to hear tonight?
Ready to go.
Here we go. Yep, that's right.
Pastor
Obama. Here it comes.
I am the only person stupid enough to speak after Michelle Obama. I am feeling hopeful because this convention has always been pretty good to kids with funny names who believe in a country where anything is possible. Because we have a chance to elect someone who has spent her entire life trying to give people the same chances America gave her. Someone who sees you and hears you and will get up every single day and fight for you. The next president of the United States of America, Kamala Harris.
So desperate to find that teleprompter. Look at him go. So desperate to find that teleprompter. He's ravenous for it.
It's been 16 years since I had the honor of accepting this party's nomination for president. And I know that's hard to believe because I have not aged a bit. But it's true. And looking back, I can say without question that my first big decision as your nominee turned out to be one of my best. And that was asking Joe Biden to serve by my side as vice president.
Oh man, it's so tough to watch. It's so hard to watch. It's like watching like a Roman Colosseum ritual
than some
killing.
Common Irish blood. Joe and I come from different backgrounds.
It's
but we
so
became
hard
brothers.
to watch.
And as we worked together for 8, sometimes pretty tough years, what I came to admire most about Joe wasn't just his smarts, his experience. It was his empathy and his decency and his hard-earned resilience, his unshakable belief that everyone in this country deserves a fair shot.
Except for him, a fair shot at like his second term, right? Right?
And over the last 4 years, those are the values America has needed most. At a time when millions of our fellow citizens were sick and dying, we needed a leader with the character to put politics aside and do what was right. At a time when our economy was reeling, we needed a leader with the determination to drive what would become the world's strongest recovery. 15 million jobs, higher wages, lower health care costs. At a time when the other party had turned into a cult of personality.
Oh, that's
we needed
rich,
a leader who
bro.
was steady and brought people together and was selfless enough to do the rarest thing there is in politics, putting his own ambition aside for the sake of the country.
Wow, it's so Machiavelli. It's like it is. It's like watching.
Will remember Joe Biden as an outstanding president who defended democracy at a moment of great danger. And I am proud to call him my president, but I am even prouder to call him my friend.
That's why you backstabbed them. These people, they have no morals. They're such rats. Dude, you did a fundraiser with Joe Biden, and then you
dragged him off the stage.
Yeah, I mean, it is. Yeah,
the torch has been passed.
Oh man. Oh.
Now it is up to all of us.
It's so hard to watch.
For the America we believe in. And make no mistake, it will be a fight. For all the incredible energy we've been able to generate over the last few weeks, for all the rallies and the memes.
Oh, really? Have you generated memes?
This will still be a
maybe on our
race
show
in a closely divided country.
The left can't meme.
A country where too many Americans are still struggling.
And why is that? Exactly.
Where a lot of Americans don't believe government can help. And as we gather here tonight, the people who will decide this election are asking a very simple question. Who will fight for me? Who's thinking about my future, about my children's future, about our future together? One thing is for certain, Donald Trump is not losing sleep over that question.
Hold on. You're in power now. You do realize that, right?
78-year-old billionaire who has not stopped whining about his problems since he rode down his golden escalator 9 years ago. It has been a constant stream of gripes and grievances that's actually been getting worse now that he's afraid of losing to Kamala.
So scared.
There's the childish nicknames, the crazy conspiracy theories, this weird obsession with crowd sizes.
Big gums. Oh, yeah.
It just goes
Here comes
on
Big Gums.
and on.
The Disney adults are here.
The other day I heard someone compare Trump to the neighbor who keeps running his leaf blower outside your window every minute of every day.
Huh?
Now, from a neighbor, that's exhausting. From a president, it's just dangerous. The truth is, Donald Trump sees power as nothing more than it means to his ends. He wants the middle class to pay the price for another huge tax cut that would mostly help him and his rich friends. He killed a bipartisan immigration deal written in part by one of the most conservative Republicans in Congress that would have helped secure our southern border because he thought trying to actually solve the problem would hurt his campaign. He doesn't. Do not boo. Vote.
So you are.
He doesn't seem to care if more women lose their reproductive freedom since it won't affect his life. And most of all, Donald Trump wants us to think that this country is hopelessly divided between us and them, between the real Americans, who of course support him, and the outsiders who don't. And he wants you to think that you'll be richer and safer if you will just give him the power to put those other people back in their place. It is one of the oldest tricks in politics from a guy whose act has, let's face it, gotten pretty stale. We do not need 4 more years of bluster and bumbling and chaos. We have seen that movie before, and we all know that the sequel is usually worse.
You're talking about Joe Biden?
America's ready for a new chapter.
This guy putting in
America's ready for a
guy putting in a mouth guard.
We are ready for a president, Kamala Harris.
Like 70-year-old Democrats putting in their retainers on the floor, plus a bunch of gummy Disney adults. Yes, good.
And Kamala Harris is ready for the job. This is a person who has spent her life fighting on behalf of people who need a voice and a champion. As you heard from Michelle, Kamala was not born into privilege. She had to work for what she's got. And she actually cares about what other people are going through. She's not the neighbor running the leaf blower. She's the neighbor rushing over to help when you need a hand. As a prosecutor, Kamala stood up for children who had been victims of sexual abuse. As an attorney general of the most populous state in the country, she fought big banks and for-profit colleges, securing billions of dollars for the people they had scammed. After the home mortgage crisis, she pushed me and my administration hard to make sure homeowners got a fair settlement. Didn't matter that I was a Democrat. Didn't matter that she had knocked on doors for my campaign in Iowa. She was going to fight to get as much relief as possible for the families who deserved it. As vice president, she helped take on the drug companies to cap the cost of insulin, lower the cost of health care, give families with kids a tax cut. And she is running for president with real plans to lower costs even more and protect Medicare and Medicaid and sign a law to guarantee every woman's right to make her own health care decisions. In other words, Kamala Harris won't be focused on her problems. She'll be focused on yours. As president, she won't just cater to her own supporters and punish those who refuse to kiss the ring or bend the knee. She'll work on behalf of every American. That's who Kamala is. And in the White House, she will have an outstanding partner in Governor Tim Walz. Let me tell you something. Let me tell you something. I love this guy. Tim is the kind of person who should be in politics. Born in a small town, served his country, taught kids, coached football, took care of his neighbors. He knows who he is, and he knows what's important. You can tell those flannel shirts he wears don't come from some political consultant. They come from his closet, and they have been through some stuff. They have been through some stuff. That's right. Together, Kamala and Tim have kept faith with America's central story. A story that says we are all created equal. All of us endowed with certain inalienable rights, that everyone deserves a chance, that even when we don't agree with each other, we can find a way to live with each other. That's Kamala's vision. That's Tim's vision. That's the Democratic Party's vision. And our job over the next 11 weeks is to convince as many people as possible to vote for that vision. Now, it won't be easy. The other side knows it's easier to play on people's fears and cynicism, always has been. They will tell you that government is inherently corrupt, that sacrifice and generosity are for suckers. And since the game is rigged, it's okay to take what you want and just look after your own.
Like you in Martha's Vineyard.
That's the easy path.
Yes. Got it.
We have a different task. Our job is to convince people that democracy can actually deliver. And in doing that, we can't just point to what we've already accomplished. We can't just rely on the ideas of the past. We need to chart a new way forward to meet the challenges of today. And Kamala understands this. She knows, for example, that if we want to make it easier for more young people to buy a home, we need to build more units and clear away some of the outdated laws and regulations that made it harder to build homes for working people in this country. That is a priority, and she's put out a bold new plan to do just that.
Wow, a bold new plan. If only you had power. If only you had power for the last 4 years.
We should all be proud of the enormous progress that we've made through the Affordable Care Act.
Oh, here we go.
Providing millions of people access to affordable coverage, protecting millions more from unscrupulous insurance practices.
Oh, yeah. Has healthcare prices gone down? Does anybody else pay insurance?
It's become popular. They don't call it Obamacare no more. Kamala knows we can't stop there, which is why she'll keep working to limit out-of-pocket costs. Kamala knows that if we want to help people get ahead, we need to put a college degree within reach of more Americans. But she also knows college shouldn't be the only ticket to the middle class. We need to follow the lead of governors like Tim Walz, who said, if you've got the skills and the drive, you shouldn't need a degree to work for state government. And in this new economy, we need a president who actually cares about the millions of people all across this country who wake up every single day to do the essential, often thankless work, to care for our sick, to clean our streets, to deliver our packages. We need a president who will stand up for their right to bargain for better wages and working conditions. And Kamala will be that president.
So, again, who's in charge right now?
Yes, she can.
What are these chants?
Yes, she can. A Harris-Walz administration can help us move past some of the tired old debates that keep stifling progress. Because at their core, Kamala and Tim understand that when everybody gets a fair shot, we are all better off. They understand that when every child gets a good education, the whole economy gets stronger. When women are paid the same as men for doing the same job, all families benefit. They understand that we can secure our borders without tearing kids away from their parents, just like we can keep our streets safe while also building trust between law enforcement and the communities they serve and eliminating bias. That will make it better for everybody. Donald Trump and his well-heeled donors, they don't see the world that way. For them, one group's gains is necessarily another group's loss. For them, freedom means that the powerful can do pretty much what they please, whether it's fire workers trying to organize a union, or put poison in our rivers, or avoid paying taxes like everybody else has to do. Well, we have a broader idea of freedom. We believe in the freedom to provide for your family if you're willing to work hard. The freedom to breathe clean air and drink clean water and send your kids to school without worrying if they'll come home. We believe that true freedom gives each of us the right to make decisions about our own life, how we worship, what our family looks like, how many kids we have, who we marry. And we believe that freedom requires us to recognize that other people have the freedom to make choices that are different than ours. That's okay. That's the America Kamala Harris and Tim Walz believe in. An America where we, the people, includes everyone. Because that's the only way this American experiment works. And despite what our politics might suggest, I think most Americans understand that. Democracy isn't just a bunch of abstract principles and dusty laws in some book somewhere. It's the values we live by.
Man.
It's the way we treat each other.
I forgot how bad he is.
Including those who don't look like us.
I'm
or
falling
pray
asleep.
like us. or see the world exactly like we do.
It's so fake. It's so put on. It's so pedantic. It's like it's just such an act. He's clearly an actor. Is he an actor? He's always been an actor.
That sense of mutual respect has to be part of our message.
Talk about an old shtick.
Our politics have become so polarized these days that all of us across the political spectrum seem so quick to assume the worst in others, unless they agree with us on every single issue. We start thinking that the only way to win is to scold and shame and out-yell the other side. And after a while, regular folks just tune out, or they don't bother to vote. Now, that approach may work for the politicians who just want attention and thrive on division, but it won't work for us. To make progress on the things we care about, the things that really affect people's lives, we need to remember that we've all got our blind spots and contradictions and prejudices, and that if we want to win over those who aren't yet ready to support our candidates, we need to listen to their concerns and maybe learn something in the process. After all, if a parent or grandparent occasionally says something that makes us cringe, we don't automatically assume they're bad people. We recognize that the world is moving fast, that they need time and maybe a little encouragement to catch up. Our fellow citizens deserve the same grace we hope they'll extend to us. That's how we can build a true democratic majority, one that can get things done. And by the way, that does not just matter to the people in this country. The rest of the world is watching to see if we can actually pull this off. No nation, no society has ever tried to build a democracy as big and as diverse as ours before. One that includes people that over decades have come from every corner of the globe. One where our allegiances and our community are defined not by race or blood, but by a common creed. And that's why when we uphold our values, the world's a little brighter. When we don't, the world's a little dimmer. And dictators and autocrats feel emboldened. And over time, we become less safe. We shouldn't be the world's policemen, and we can't eradicate every cruelty and injustice in the world. But America can be and must be a force for good, discouraging conflict, fighting disease, promoting human rights, protecting the planet from climate change, defending freedom, brokering peace. That's what Kamala Harris believes, and so do most Americans. Now, I know these ideas can feel pretty naive right now. We live in a time of such confusion and rancor, with a culture that puts a premium on things that don't last. Money, fame, status, likes. We chase the approval of strangers on our phones. We build all manner of walls and fences around ourselves, and then we wonder why we feel so alone.
Bro, you live on a private island.
We don't trust each other as much because we don't take the time to know each other. And in that space between us, politicians and algorithms teach us to caricature each other and troll each other and fear each other. But here's the good news, Chicago.
Oh, man.
All across America,
Accent's bad.
in big cities and small towns, away from all the noise, the ties that bind us together are still there. We still coach Little League and look out for our elderly neighbors. We still feed the hungry in churches and mosques and synagogues and temples. We share the same pride when our Olympic athletes compete for the gold. Because the vast majority of us do not want to live in a country that's bitter and divided. We want something better. We want to be better. And the joy and the excitement that we're seeing around this campaign tells us we're not alone. You know, I've spent a lot of time thinking about these past few months because, as Michelle mentioned, this summer we lost her mom, Ms. Marion Robinson. And I don't know that anybody has ever loved their mother-in-law any more than I love mine. Mostly it's because she was funny and wise and the least pretentious person I knew. That, and she always defended me with Michelle when I messed up. I'd hide behind her.
Beta.
But I also think
beta
one of the
cuck
reasons
life. Beta cuck life.
Mary and I became so close was she reminded me of my grandmother, the woman who helped raise me as a child. And on the surface, the two of them did not have a lot in common. One was a black woman from right here, south side of Chicago, right down the way. Went to Englewood High School. The other was a little old white lady born in a tiny town called Peru, Kansas. Now, I know there aren't that many people from Peru. And yet they shared a basic outlook on life. They were strong, smart, resourceful women, full of common sense, who, regardless of the barriers they encountered, and women growing up in the 40s and 50s and 60s, they encountered barriers. They still went about their business without fuss or complaint and provided an unshakable foundation of love for their children and their grandchildren. In that sense, they both represented an entire generation of working people who, through war and depression, discrimination and limited opportunity, helped build this country. A lot of them toiled every day at jobs that were often too small for them and didn't pay a lot. They willingly went without just to but they knew what was true.
Yeah. Sorry, was my computer
But they knew
freezing?
what was true.
We're good? Okay, my apologies, ladies and
knew
gentlemen.
what
My
mattered.
computer froze.
Things like honesty and integrity, kindness and hard work. They weren't impressed with braggarts or bullies. They didn't think putting other people down lifted you up or made you strong. They didn't spend a lot of time obsessing about what they didn't have. Instead, they appreciated what they did. They found pleasure in simple things. A card game with friends, a good meal, and laughter around the kitchen table. Helping others. And most of all, seeing their children do things and go places that they would have never imagined for themselves. Like that in our lives. People like Kamala's parents, who crossed oceans because they believed in the promise of America. People like Tim's parents, who taught him about the importance of service. Good, hard-working people who weren't famous or powerful, but who managed in countless ways to leave this country just a little bit better than they found it. As much as any policy or program, I believe that's what we yearn for. A return to an America where we work together and look out for each other. A restoration of what Lincoln called, on the eve of civil war, our bonds of affection. An America that taps what he called the better angels of our nature. That is what this election is about. And I believe that's why if we each do our part over the next 77 days, if we knock on doors, if we make phone calls, if we talk to our friends, if we listen to our neighbors, if we work like we've never worked before, if we hold firm to our convictions, we will elect Kamala Harris as the next president of the United States and Tim Walz as the next vice president of the United States. We will elect leaders up and down the ballot who will fight for the hopeful, forward-looking America we all believe in, and together we too will build a country that is more secure and more just, more equal, and more free. So let's get to work. God bless you. And God bless the United States of America.
Oh, thank God it's over. Okay. All right, okay. So it's done. That's it. All right, so a couple of really important things. Here we go. One, we are hearing that Kamala Harris is not to be seen in the same room as Barack Obama. Now, we know they faked a phone call in order to get an endorsement together. Apparently, according to Fox News reporters, Kamala Harris is 90 miles away in Milwaukee doing an event tonight because she doesn't want to be seen in the same room as Barack Obama. What the hell's going on there? Joe Biden, according to this report, Joe Biden is very bitter and angry about all this. Sees Barack Obama as the person who shivved him in the back, right? Pushed him over the paddleboard and got, destroyed his potential at whatever legacy he was going to have. And so Biden hates Obama. He led the coup against him. The Obamas will do anything for power, as obviously evidenced by, well, their multiple mansions. This is something that I wish to play for you. It's very important that you see this. Every single time that you hear Michelle Obama or Barack Obama complain about inequality in America and complain about the problems in this country, I want you to remember, ladies and gentlemen, that this is where they live. Please. There you go. There's their home. Do you think that Barack Obama would hear the leaf blower if it were blowing?
Such victims.
Yes. If this was Joe Biden, so he likens Donald Trump to his neighbor running a leaf blower. Barack Obama doesn't have that problem.
That analogy definitely worked better on paper or on the teleprompter.
Yes.
I don't know how that really worked.
What do you think, Caitlin? Do you think this is a? Do you think that speech was a win? I got to be honest, I was falling asleep.
That was
I know the chat was
television melatonin.
Yes, I was like,
yeah.
I forgot that he was so bad at this. Like, he was actually not good at this. Please don't clip this and take this out of context. I think Michelle Obama's speech was better than his speech.
I think he agrees with that.
Yeah, yeah. I think it was bad.
He kept trying to make jokes about himself, like
Right.
humble himself, and when people do that, but I don't think that worked out
Completely
either.
cringe. Remember, Barack Obama is the person who has this home. You can scroll through here. You can see what a lavish lap of luxury this 10-bedroom home is with a private beach. Look at that. And America is filled with inequality and horrors. Also, very interesting. Things are going terribly in this country. And if Democrats just got another 20 years, they'd fix it all. Remember, they had Barack Obama, they have Barack Obama again. Now they have Joe Biden, and what you need is just another little round.
That's it. Yeah, of course. My favorite is Kamala's little, on day 1 of this administration.
Yeah.
It will be like day 1600, my girl.
Barack Obama having the and spy in his administration. Barack Obama's a hoaxer. Barack Obama's the man who planted the PP dossier and endorsed the entire plan to go after Trump with lawfare. That plan is still, the teeth of that plan are now grinding to their conclusion as Donald Trump will be sentenced for the bullshit charges in New York in like September. So meddling in elections, going after using all of your political power to go after your political enemy, disparaging the fellow Americans, disparaging fellow Americans.
Let's
really
not
unifying
forget
speech.
this.
Unity.
Oh, of course, the Party of Unity. Let's not forget Barack Obama is the same man that refused to call out Joe publicly to step down. His friend, right? His friend. So proud to call Joe Biden a friend. Yet his friend couldn't call for him to step down just a few short weeks ago. I mean, really?
Yeah, that was. I mean, that's now Michelle
Great
Obama
friend.
didn't even mention Joe Biden.
No, of course. These speeches so far for the past 2 days have been pretty much all about Donald Trump, which is ironic. And that's what they're running on. Kamala Harris is running on I'm not Donald Trump. Great message.
This is just there's too many examples to cite, but this is a great one. At the height of the COVID lockdowns, Barack Obama on his private island had a private party. Oh, whoops. Sorry, guys. This actually. This is very important. You weren't supposed to see this image. You weren't supposed to see the image. I don't know why I don't. Here we go, guys. That one. Goodness, sometimes I just gotta open my own browser because I see all these wonderful reminders. Here it is. This is Barack Obama at the height of the COVID restrictions, throwing himself a 60th birthday party with all. Party. There you go. Look at that. Would you look at that necklace? Oh my. Oh wow. So exciting. Really. And remember, they're victims. They're the victims here. Extremely excruciating evening.
Only night 2.
Any final takeaways?
Let's see. Well, Michelle Obama, again, trying to use the woman card as encouraging women to vote for Kamala Harris. My question is, I wonder if Michelle Obama took advantage of the free vasectomies. What do you think?
I think that what we saw tonight was some of the lowest testosterone, most soy boy, nerdiest cucks for Kamala. Excruciating and embarrassing displays of manliness that we've ever seen. A reminder that Barack Obama wrote. I mean, this is in his own hands. Okay, so this is not. We love Alex Jones, but this is not like an Alex Jones right. This is Barack Obama's own letters. He wrote about fantasizing about making love with men every single day. Okay, don't come for me. It's him who wrote the letters, and they're public, and you can go read them. So. The whole thing is a charade. The whole thing is a lie. All of these people live these self-loathing lies, and they take it out on the rest of us. And if we just give them another 20 years, then they can have more mansions and the country can be destroyed. So there you go.
Beautiful.
We have a final treat for you, actually. If you experienced all this with us, and it was really tough this evening listening to those speeches, Doug Emhoff and Bernie Sanders and all, we went to Barack Obama's neighborhood today. We went to the south side of Chicago. You hear him talking about the south side of Chicago and his family, the south side of Chicago. Boy, oh boy, we got the clip for you. We stood there in what is a very unsafe neighborhood and asked people who were just, walking down the street, yo, what do you think about Obama? And you are not going to believe what we heard. Listen to this.
For Trump. I go for Donald Trump. Me too. I go for Trump.
Who are you voting for in 2024?
Trump too.
And why is that, ma'am?
He's the best president ever.
Has Barack Obama done anything for around here and these?
He never did anything since he been in office.
Yeah.
And I'm glad he out. Trump the best.
Barack Obama? I ain't got no message to him. I don't mess with Barack Obama.
Yeah.
Nah, I'm a Trump supporter. Trump do more for black people and care more about black people. And Barack Obama ain't black. Just to let that be known.
All right. What about Kamala Harris?
I don't with her either. All Trump. Trump all day.
Yeah. What's your message to Donald Trump today?
Keep going. Keep going. Come get us, man. We waiting on you.
I'm a Trump supporter, man. We gonna keep this going. Trump, he a real businessman. I'm a real Republican, man. I want Trump back in office second term.
What would be your message to Barack Obama?
I don't know, pump some money in here. Pump some money like Trump,
Your message to Donald Trump?
Come on, man, get us to the Super Bowl, bro. Make America great, man. That's all I can say. Make America great.
Everyone's so friendly around here.
Yeah,
everyone's so friendly around here. I need chain game like this. Here we go.
What's up, my
Who
guy?
we need up in there? Who we finna let drop a bag in the hood? Who we want to get the bag back going in the hood?
Y'all know we gonna need Trump in that joint. Y'all
You
know
ain't
we
gonna
gonna need
find a
Trump
soul
in that
around
joint.
here that ain't gonna say Trump.
Y'all gotta dig what's going on, man.
Yeah, I'm taking over Benny show,
I
man.
retired.
It's Odie, man. I'm a YouTuber, man. Y'all get at me, man. But everything Trump over on this side of town. I ain't gonna lie to you. You can go everywhere. You see how dry this motherfucker is? We need Trump, boy. Whatever it's gonna do to make this flow back, man. Get it up. Let's get it going immediately, man. Benny, who you going for, Benny?
I'm going for the man with this chain, with that watch, with that ride.
Who is your president?
My president is making America great again, Donald Trump.
Okay, I'm going with Trump too. We locked in. That's what I'm talking about, man.
Amazing.
I need the job with you, man.
I love Chicago.
It's my long lost twin, man. Separated at birth, man.
Better tattoos, better style, better hair.
We both good looking though, man. That's all that count, man.
Better
Pause.
teeth, and a better ride. All right. So that was what we found. Barack Obama's not going to like that. You saw it first. We're putting that up in the morning, but you saw it first live here. A thank you from us and our show. Caitlin, shout out your socials.
Follow me on Twitter, just C Sinclair TV, and then Turning Point Action, because we're doing the real groundwork. I know they talked a lot about that tonight, getting out to vote, but that's what Turning Point Action's doing. So we have a better inspiring message for young people than I think vasectomies and abortions on wheels. So
Yes, that's right. This is the account. Great photo, great pic with Trump, and this is the website tpaction.com/Chase.
That's right.
Yeah, this is actually how you defeat the human melatonin. You called it. Yeah, that's exactly right. Tonight, we thank all of you for sticking with us. Sometimes some of these nights are more painful than others, but we appreciate you, and we're out here, we're trolling, we're in Chicago, and we are live for you at the heart of the city, inside of Trump Tower. Man, making libs cry again. It's your boy Benny. Have a great night. We'll see you tomorrow.
The biggest ships
in the sea, all owned by the oldest kings. And their dying legacy, media dillweeds. Soon will the penny show come to mind, the salt from Libs for fun. Leave the gold and bring the gun, we sail for #1. Show come to mind, the salt from Libs for fun. Leave the gold and bring the gun, we sail for #1. The biggest ships in the sea, all owned by the oldest king.